welcome to Let's Talk Bible. Thank you so much for coming and joining me as we are still in John chapter 5 and as we look at verses 1 through 10. Still talking about Jesus and the lame man. Jesus healing this lame man who has been lame for 38 years, which is, like I said last week, a very, very long time to have this and to be in this type of shape and to have this lame disease. So let's look and see what verse 6 has to say. And let's get into this. It's going to be very, very interesting. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, "Would you like to get well?" "I can't, sir," the sick man said, "for I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me." Okay. So let's go back and let's read this. Let's see what the problem here is. Now, I understand. Like I said, this lame man had a disease to where he cannot walk. That's what being lame is. He can't walk. He can't go anywhere. He's just wherever someone puts him is where he stays, and that's it. So in verse 6, Jesus saw him there. Jesus saw him sitting there and knew he had been ill for a long time. Jesus knew he was sick and ill for a very long time. He asked him, "Would you like to get well?" That's all Jesus said. That's all Jesus asked. He asked him, "Would you like to get well?" Would you like to? He didn't tell him how he was going to get well. He didn't tell him when he was going to get well. He didn't say anything, but would you like to? Would you like to get well? If you were in this position, if you have been sick for a very long time like this, and this man walks up to you and asks you if you would like to get well, because, he probably didn't know really who Jesus was, didn't know much about Jesus, because he had only really been to Galilee and done his first miracle there. And so, you have this, you have Jesus asking him this, and putting yourself in this lame man's shoes. Would you have reacted in this same way? If he asked you this question, would you have reacted the same way that the lame man did in verse 6 by saying, "I can't, sir. I can't. I'm not able to. I physically can't go into the water." He didn't say that he had to go to the water. He just asked him if he would like to get well. Sometimes, whenever we do things, whenever God does things for us, we look and we say, "Well, I can't do it." Okay, yeah, that's true. We can't do it by ourselves. We can't do it ourselves. And that's not even what Jesus asked him. Jesus didn't ask him if he could do it. Jesus didn't ask him if he was able. Jesus just asked him, "Would you like to be well?" He literally just said, "Would you like to get well?" That's it. And he just says, "I can't. I can't get well." Then he says, "For I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me." So, the blind man, he's not blind. The lame man has the problem of having nobody to put him into the pool of water whenever it bubbles up, whenever the angel comes and troubles it. That's his problem. That's why he's saying that he's been lame for 30 some years. Almost 40 years. He's saying that his problem is because no one's there. No one can put him in. No one's there. No one. That there's always someone else that gets in before he does. That gets ahead of him. that ends up coming in and getting into the pool of water before he's able to, before he can do it. I understand that he can't walk, right? We understand that he can't walk. We see that. We understand that. We see that from his perspective. But it goes back to Jesus didn't ask him about any of that. He just asked him if he wanted to get well. He didn't say that he was going to go jump him in the water. He didn't say that he needed to go to the water. He didn't say that he was going to have to do anything. He just assumed all this stuff. And of course here he's telling really, he's letting us know, letting Jesus know why he can't and why he's not able to. Even though we know he's lame. We understand that. But let's look at what Jesus has to say in verse 8. Let's look at that real fast. Jesus told him, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and walk." Oh, gosh. Sorry. But, that's just like Jesus. That's just like Jesus to be all like, "Listen, I know you can't, and I know you're not able, but I didn't ask you if you could. I'm just going to tell you to stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. That's all I'm going to do." Because, he didn't ask him about any of that stuff. He didn't ask him if he could. He didn't walk up to him and say, "Could you be healed? Could you want to get well?" No, he didn't ask him any of that. He just said, "Do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? Are you wanting yourself to get well? Or are you okay with just sitting on this porch for 30 more years? Are you okay with just being in the same sickness, in the same place, in the same season, in the same cycle? Are you okay with that? Is that where you want to stay? Is that where you want to stay, be, and dwell all the time? Just in that little place. And stay in your same mess, to stay in your same sin, to stay in your same... Now, see, this can go a lot of ways. This can, happen and work in a lot of different ways. Because the same thing is do you want to be saved? Do you want to have salvation? Do you want to be healed? Do you want hope? Do you want these things? Do you want these things? And that's what Jesus asks us today. Do you want to be made well? Do you want salvation? Because it's not like God's going to force himself on you. And Jesus isn't going to force himself on you. So he's going to ask you, do you want it? And here he tells him to stand up, pick up his mat, and walk. Just like Jesus. Instantly, the man was healed. Instantly. I like that word. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. But his miracle happened on the Sabbath. Okay, so, I know I got excited and happy and, whatnot about 8. And I was excited about 9 until we got to, but this miracle happened on the Sabbath. Because then I know where we're going in verse 10 and where this is going to take us in the next video as well. But anywho, let's go back up to the beginning of the verse and start there. We're still going to be happy and focus on what happened here. Instantly. So Jesus asks the man if he wants to be healed, right? And then Jesus goes and, he asked him, and then he goes and he tells him, once the man tells him that he can't and why he can't, then he tells him, "Get up and walk. Pick up your mat." He tells him to do that. And then in verse 9, he is instantly healed. He wasn't taken to he didn't have to be picked up and taken to the water. He didn't have to do anything, didn't have to worry about anyone getting in front of him. He was healed instantly through the power that Jesus had in him. Through Jesus, he was healed instantly. he rolled up his sleeping mat and began to walk. This man was walking. Now, because this happened on the Sabbath, we're going to find that Jesus is going to get, he's going to run into a little bit of trouble with the Jewish leaders in verse 10 and in probably the previous chapters. We will find that he's going to run into a little bit of trouble, but, it's okay. Jesus does what he wants to do. So let's look and see what verse 10 has to say. Verse 10 says this: So the Jewish leaders objected. They said, the man who was cursed, you cannot work on the Sabbath. The man who was cured, you cannot work on the Sabbath. The law does not allow you to carry that sleeping mat. Oh, Lord Jesus, hold my hand. I'm sorry. So the Jewish leaders objected. They said to the man who was cured, who just got healed, that he cannot work on the Sabbath, that the law does not allow him to carry his sleeping mat. Wow. They're worried about a mat. I understand that this is the law, but this person just got healed in front of them, and they're more worried about the mat that this poor man is laid on for years, and they are neglecting the fact that this poor man was lame for so long, just to look and say that it's a Sabbath and you can't carry your mat. Wow. Just wow. And of course, like I said, Jesus is going to go into this, and the man who's carrying his mat is going to, all this is going to happen. We'll go into more of it. I hate to leave it there, but, for the continuity's sake and to keep these videos not very long and whatnot, we'll stop there, but we will pick up on verse 11, and we will continue talking about this and see what more lies ahead in the scripture. I am excited to keep looking at this and talking about this, and I can't wait, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.